So our goal for today is to keep continuous breath throughout our practice, which might be surprisingly harder than you think because most of us tend to hold our breath if we're really thinking about something intensely. So for today's breath, we're going to use probably the most commonly used yogic breath, which is in through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's okay if it's not perfect today. Everything is an experiment, right? But the idea is that each time we come back up to center or reach and rise upward, we're going to be inhaling. And each time we bend or melt downward, we're going to exhale. And that doesn't have to be the same every time you do a yoga class, but that's just what we're going to do today, yeah? One thing to notice is that, and I'll keep reminding you, that if you're in a pose, sometimes we sort of stop breathing, and I want you to learn to be aware that the breath is going in and out and in and out the whole time. So that's our breath goal for today. If you have done yoga before or you want to experiment with Ujjayi breath is when you take your throat muscles and you tighten them. So just before we get started, go ahead and drop your chin down a little bit. Make 17,000 chins, which always makes me laugh. And then exhale so you sound like a creepy old asthmatic person. I have asthma, so I'm going to make fun of myself here by making it tight. And that's called the throat lock. And the idea is basically that it brings your attention to your breath and it also slows your exhale, which will then slow your breath in general. Why would we care about that? Because if you control your breath, then your body is going to slow your heartbeat, and your heart has to be strong enough to pump slowly, so that sort of strengthens the heart. And when your body does a slower breath and a slower heartbeat, it changes the hormones that your body produces in your brain and calms you down. And that's part of this whole cyclic system of the way that your body and mind and emotions work together. So if you have ever thought about, if you've ever known or heard about someone with post-traumatic stress syndrome, or if you have maybe been in a car accident and you notice how when you get in the car again, and even though you're totally safe, but like if the car moves in that same way that it moved when you had the car accident, you can notice that your emotional reaction kicks in really quickly because your body had a physical experience that now it remembers, and so it cues the hormones of the emotions to prepare yourself for danger. And thankfully, the opposite is also true. If we do a physical action, we can trigger a hormonal and emotional response within our body. And that's part of why we do the slow breathing at first. It's why we calm our heartbeat down, or why in meditation we will sometimes pick a single word to focus on or a visualization, because your mind and your emotional state and your body are all, they all rebound off of each other. So using breath to calm everything down is sort of the experience I hope that we get just a little bit of. It takes practice for sure. Jennifer is asking a question about doing the playlist in 2 parts instead of doing it all in one shot. And it's intended to do all at once, but you can absolutely do it in a couple of parts. Yeah, totally. That's fine. So our other yogic movement principle for this week is alignment. Since it's our first week, I'm going to just make sure that I talk about like alignment of your joints during our poses. That's pretty obvious. The most important injury prevention locations to think about during yoga are the lower back tends to be very delicate for most of us, and usually it's because we are not supporting in the abdomen, and it shouldn't be like tight and squeezed up, but you do want to gently lift. So I think of it as instead of your hip bones tipping forward or anteriorly rotating, I think of it like that feeling when you're trying to zip up a really tight pair of jeans, which hopefully nobody has anymore because we're all wearing yoga pants 24 hours a day in this pandemic, right? But that feeling where you sort of tuck underneath and pull in, that's the feeling of engaging your lower abdomen and also dropping your tailbone to vertical. And if you look in the mirror in the side when you're checking this one day, you might notice that your tailbone is in the habit of pointing sort of out diagonally. And it's not that that's a bad place to be, it's just not where you want to be most of the time. So we drop that down, and in the mirror, it's your bone here, your sacrum, that you're trying to adjust, not the tush or the glutes. Obviously that's going to stick out and be round and lovely right there. So adjusting the pelvic position and softly engaging your abdomen is going to help protect your lower back. And then the other really important thing is your knee and toe being pointed in the same direction. So if this is the direction where my kneecap is pointed straight forward, but my toe got placed on the floor, maybe slightly pointed out, right? Then I'm twisting in the knee joint, and knee joints are only designed to go straight forward, but we often have like weird twisty habits. So learning to strengthen the body to protect that knee by just double checking that your knee and toe are always pointed in the same direction is the other big cue. So those breath and alignment are our two jobs today. And of course that's a lot, but that's what keeps practice exciting, is having a lot to learn. So let's spotlight me. We're gonna do our backup. Excuse me, I'm very sneezy today. I just emptied the dehumidifier here. I'm in the basement and it's making my allergies a little bit sniffy, so please pardon me if I sneeze. All right. Deborah's question is, do we do the YouTube videos twice a week on the days we don't have class? Yes, you can do the YouTube video playlist. There's one for each week. So you can do that whenever you want during that week, and then your fourth workout of the week is, do we do the YouTube videos twice a week on the days we don't have class? Including a meditation for yoga. The YouTube video, so you could just do playlist. A long guided meditation. There's one for each week. So you can do that whenever you want. Okay, here comes our music. So go ahead and of the week sit on your anything that you want yoga mat, including a meditation, and then we'll go straight into it. So you could just do a long guided meditation right about that. Hi, Marianne. Okay, here comes our music. So go ahead and sit on your yoga mat, and then we'll go straight into it. Okay, can you guys hear my voice clearly over the volume of the music? Got some thumbs up, that's good. All right. I'm gonna turn on a slower song to start with. Even though, here we go. Okay, can you guys hear my voice clearly over the volume Sorry for the sniffing. Music? Got some thumbs up, that's good. All right. I'm gonna turn on a slower song to start Nice and comfy. So this is called easy pose in yoga, but it is not easy for everyone. Okay. If you find it's that you sit down in easy pose and your knees are super up high and you're nice and comfy, you're rocked back. Yeah. So this is in order to get yourself to this flexible state, but eventually it is not easy for everyone. If you find it take that you sit down and pillow underneath super up high or a folded up blanket to just lift those hips a little bit higher, and that'll let in order to get yourself spine rise up straighter eventually, and your knees start to drop down. Yeah, can take so go ahead and find your place to that your tush or a folded up blanket to just lift those hips a little bit higher, and that'll let your spine rise up straighter. And we're going to start by using our breath to affect our heart and mind, which means that we will slowly breathe in through the nose and And we're going to start
exhale
by using our breath.
Just let
to
your
affect
lips be slightly
our heart and
parted.
mind. Which means that
I
you
like
will
to
slowly
visualize
breathe in through the nose,
the air coming up in through my nostrils and sort of
swirling around in my skull, and then traveling down into my belly as my belly expands as I breathe in.
And I like to visualize.
And then your belly softens back towards your spine as you exhale, and that breath comes up and out through your chest,
in my skull,
through your
and then
throat,
traveling down into
and through your
mouth.
my belly as my belly expands as I breathe in. And then your belly softens.
And if you'd
back
like to
towards
start
your spine as you
experimenting
exhale,
with
and
that
ujjayi breath or that
out
throat lock,
through your chest,
it should sound a little bit as you breathe like waves. And if you'd like to start experimenting with that ujjayi breath or that throat lock, it should sound a little bit as you breathe like waves. As you're inhaling, notice which part of your breath feels the easiest and most comforting. And if you are going for a deeper breath and feels natural, just notice without judgment what that feels like when your which body says, wait, a little more. Feels the easiest. Just witness it with grace. And if you are going for a deeper breath and feels natural, just notice without judgment what that feels like when your body says, wait, a little more. Just witness it with grace. Lift your shoulders up. And on your next exhale, drop those shoulder blades down your back. And see if your neck can feel a little release. Lift your shoulders up. And on your next exhale, drop those shoulder blades down your back. And see if your neck can feel a little release. And go ahead and take one more breath here. Let your eyes open back up, and we'll start with our usual circling of the arms. Letting those arms float up to your center line. And exhale, sliding down with the exhale. We'll start with our spreading them wide. Notice where your shoulder blades are. Can you lift your arms up without squeezing your shoulders, but instead anchoring those shoulder blades down on your back, so that your spine becomes long and strong like a redwood tree. Notice where your shoulder blades are. Can you lift your arms up without squeezing your shoulders, but instead, and this time as your hands drop, roll down, head dropping, neck dropping, chest dropping towards the front of the room. Big breath in. Great big breaths. And this time as your hands drop, roll down, head dropping, neck dropping, chest. If you feel a place that's tight in your body today, imagine breathing into it. And that as you exhale, that tension is able to flow out with the breath. If you feel a place that's tight in your body today, imagine breathing into it. And that as you exhale, that tension is able to flow out with the breath. On your next inhale, we're going to come back up, stacking the vertebrae on top of each other. So inhale, sitting back upright. Let your arms float up. And exhale, reaching over to the right. On your next inhale, we're going to come back up, stacking the vertebrae on top of each other. Radiates long. As you exhale, we smear that palm across the wall behind yourself in your imagination. Big breath up the front. Big breath in, big circle. That big circle, open the hand to the back. Inhale it, radiates long. As you exhale, we smear that palm across the wall behind yourself in your imagination. Big breath up the front. Big circle, open the hand to the back. And rise up center. Exhale over to your left. Dropping those shoulders down. Big breath in. And rise up center. Exhale over to your left. Dropping those shoulders down. Big breath in. As your arm travels front, the stretch feeling happens in your back. As you get up to the side, you feel your side body opening. And as you rotate that palm to the back of the room, the stretch goes across the front of your shoulder and chest. As your arm travels front, the stretch feeling happens. And as your hand reaches down towards the earth, as you get up to the very side of your side body opening. And as you rotate that palm to the back of the room, the stretch goes across. Exhale, drop your rib cage back, rolling back on your hips to switch your legs. And as your hand reaches down towards the earth, the very side of your neck. And float on down to the front. Exhale, drop your rib cage back, rolling back on your hips right here in the middle. Legs. Or if it feels good to you today, you can slide side to side. I like to imagine that I have a little leaf under my fingertip, and I'm just sailing that boat across the little puddle in the stay right here in the middle. Or if it feels good to you soft today, drift of the slide side to side. I like to imagine that I have a little leaf under my fingertip, and I'm just sailing that boat across the little puddle in the sea. Go ahead and lengthen. Reaching out this time. Come upright. We're going to take our arms out to the sides and roll your shoulders back a few times. Can you find a place where your shoulders are rolled down the back and we're reaching out? Big breath in. Let's our arms out rotate. Let's revolve the spine to roll your shoulders back a few times. Can you find a place let your chin travel further down the back, and we're reaching and gather up through your abdomen. Big breath in. Let's rotate. Now you may notice your hip flexors feeling tight. So if they do feel tight, jiggle your thighs a little bit and see if you can relax in the hips. Gather up through your abdomen. Big breath in center. Now you may notice your hip flexors feeling tight. Shoulders are down the back. If they do feel tight, jiggle your thighs a little bit and see if you can relax. Try and get a little bit further. Let it be rested. The spiral we're working on here happens in the spine, like a unicorn horn. Shoulders are down the back. Imagine your spine twisting like a unicorn for the front arm. Try and get a little bit further. Let it be rested. Jiggle the thighs if you're feeling tension. Here happens in the coming back center, like a unicorn. We're going to exhale back to your left, but this time let your hands come to the earth and push into the earth. Just twist a little bit farther. Jiggle the thighs if you're feeling tension. Turn your focus to your breath. Coming back center. We're going to exhale back to your left, but this time let your hands come to the earth and push into the earth. Just twist a little bit farther. Inhaling up center and exhaling to the other side. Inhaling center. Drop those arms open and lean your heart up. I like to imagine a big floofy cloud just floating down onto my chest. Leaning back, inhaling center. Elbows behind you, fingertips forward. Lean your heart to catch your weight. I like to imagine a big floofy cloud just floating down the rib cage. Back. And if you feel any weird tight jangliness in your wrist already, go ahead and make muffins down here. So need some dough. And then gently, just like a kitty cat getting ready to curl up. The rib cage. Spread those ribs some more. If you feel any, just stay here. If this feels good to you.
If you have the urge to lift your hips,
and feel free to lift your
knees,
hips.
but that is
It's like a kitty
choice
cat
that you
getting
should
ready
make
to
depending
curl up.
on what feels good.
Spread those ribs some more. Just stay here.
Exhale, hips come back. If you have the urge to lift your hips,
Feel free to lift your hips.
and inhale, rise. Choice that you should make depending
Curve
on what
back.
feels good.
Knees together. Rise up.
Exhale, hips come
Exhale,
back.
curve
Your lower
back. Feel the belly button squeeze to the spine. Rise up and curve down, down. Rise. Knees together. Rise up. Exhale, feel that belly lock, tucking into your spine. Rise up. Shoulders and curves down. Rise. Stay right there and grab the back of your thighs. And notice now, if your belly's lifted in, is your lower back
tucking
also
into
curved?
your
'Cause
spine.
it's possible that you could have your lower back still arched and your chest back. And that's not where we want to go. So really
right
tuck
there
your
and
tailbone
grab the back of your
underneath. And notice now, drop those shoulders back, pull your belly button in, and stay right here. Bust out A. Hold on to your thighs. If bust stop A isn't your home today and you want to go a little bit farther on the journey, drop those shoulders back and just hover right there. Bust stop B. Bust stop A. Hold on. Bust stop C. Toes off the floor. If bust stop A isn't alternate C, hold on, toes on the floor. Option to straighten the legs for Navasana, which is the nice place. You should feel a little bit like a bust up. You can hold on or not, but definitely make sure you're holding that core in. That's your real goal. And now how about that breath? Straighten the legs. Continue the breath. You can hold on or not, but definitely soften out of that boat pose. Big breath in. That's your real goal. Bend your knees for our forward fold today. Continue the breath. Really let your pelvis fold forward. It's not so important at all to keep straight legs. It's more important that you feel this stretching. Not from your chest bending, but instead from your pelvis going forward. So as bent as your legs want to be, pelvis is fine. It's not so important at all to keep straight legs. It's more important. My hair is in the microphone. I apologize. Not from your chest bending, but instead from your pelvis. Go ahead and walk your hands back up. As your legs want to be. Exhale, curl it all the way down to the floor and let your hands come up over your head and stretch your right side longer. Go ahead and walk your hands back up. Exhale, release and then inhale, stretch your legs. Exhale, curl it all the way down to the floor and let your hands come up over your head and release. Inhale, right side. Exhale, release. At once. As you exhale, drop that belly button down to your spine and begin to curve your back, bending your knees. Bust up A version. Use your hands to walk up your thighs. Less hands on thighs if you're not feeling it. Rise up, drop those knees, and let's drop that belly button down to your spine and begin to see your feet together. Butterfly stretch. Bust up A version. Is what we often call it in America. Hands drop on thighs if you're not feeling it. Rise up, drop those knees, and let's breathe long and deep, letting the hips open. This is what we often call it in America. And drop your chest. Breathe. Inhale brings you back up, long and deep, letting the hips open. And come on over to all fours. Warming up those wrists if they need it. Inhale brings you back up. Forgot to start my exercise trackers. Go ahead and let's learn our wrist stretch right away. So if I were to say to you, I'm 10 years old, like a little kid, it would look like this. We want to spread those hands actively. And we'll use that whenever we put our hands on the floor with our pointer fingers going straight away.
So if I were to
I'm
say
10 years old!
I'm 10 years old!
To stretch our wrists, we're going to drop
this.
the palms
We
down
wanna
towards the
spread
inner
those
arm. Hands actively. And we'll use
And
that
we're gonna
whenever
take
we
these
put our
knuckles
hands on
and
the
put the
floor.
knuckles into
with
the
our
floor,
pointer fingers going
pushing
straight
Yeah.
the forearm past the wrist. So in your
To
child's
stretch
pose,
our
which is
wrists, we're going to
hips
drop
down
the
on your
palms
ankles,
down towards the inner
go ahead and
arm.
put your knuckles on the floor, and then
we're gonna take
rest
these knuckles
your
and
weight
put the
down and let
knuckles
your
into the
forearms
floor,
travel past the
pushing
knuckles, and you can feel that
the
delicious
forearm
stretch
past the
on the
wrist.
back of your
So in
knuckles.
your
And anytime we
child's
come
pose,
to
hips
a
down on your
downward
ankles.
dog and you want to rest
put
more,
your
you can
knuckles
come
on
to
the
a
floor,
child's pose and then instead of a downward dog.
your weight down and let your forearms
And
travel
anytime
past
you're
the
in
knuckles and you can feel that delicious
any pose
stretch.
that permits it, you can
back of your
stretch your
knuckles.
wrists.
And anytime we
as
come
an
to
extra choice.
yeah,
A downward dog and you want to rest more, you can come to a child's
Placing
pose
those
instead
I'm 10
of a
years
downward
old
dog.
hands down in front of yourself.
And
Go ahead
anytime
and
you're
come up to
in
all fours.
any pose
We're gonna
that
lift up in
permits
our
it, you
core
can stretch
today.
your wrists as an
Engaging
extra
that belly
choice.
lock. Roll the shoulders back. And send
those
your
I'm
left
10
leg
years
out
old
and your
hands down
right
in
arm
front of
out.
yourself.
And try and find
Go ahead
a
and come up
nice
to all
balance
fours.
here. And we're going to lift up in our core
Yeah.
today. Notice that most of us
Engaging that
release
belly
the
lock.
abdomen and
Roll
drop
the
the back
shoulders
in this
back.
pose at first. So
And
really think
send
about
your left
lifting
leg
up
out
in
and
your
your
core.
right arm out.
This is not about getting your leg high. This is about a strong, flat, even center. Notice that most of us release the
And switch
abdomen and
sides.
drop the back in this pose at first. So really think about lifting up
Your
in
right
core.
pointer finger is going
This is
straight
not
forward.
about getting your leg
You're
high. This is about a
re-engaging
strong,
the abdomen
flat,
as you lift.
even center.
And switch sides.
And go ahead and place both palms down on the mat. Both
Your right
knees together.
pointer finger is going straight forward.
Tuck your feet.
You're
So when I say tuck, I mean
re-engaging the
instead of pointed
abdomen
toes
as
with the
you
top of the feet on the floor, I mean tuck your toes in so that you can press back onto them for downward
Go ahead and
dog.
place both
Downward
palms
dog
down
for
on
me
the mat.
can always have
Both
bent
knees together.
knees.
so a
Tuck your feet.
bust up,
when I
a
say
downward
tuck, I
dog
mean
can be
instead of
bent
pointed
knees.
toes
Notice
with
my
the top of
heels
the feet
do
on the
not
floor, I mean
touch.
tuck your toes in.
Even in a
Press
bust
back
up.
onto them for downward dog.
Well, in a
Downward
fuller
dog for me can
extension
always
of your
have
downward
bent
dog,
knees.
when your legs may come to straight,
Bust up,
you
a
still
downward
don't
dog
have
can
weight
bend
in your
knees.
heels.
Notice my heels do not
Go ahead
touch.
and walk your hands
Even
a little bit
bust
closer
up.
and feel that moment. Well, in a fuller
Where the weight
extension of
shifts
your
from
downward
the
dog,
hands to
when
the
your
feet.
legs
And you can
may
have
come
super
to
bent
straight,
legs here, yeah?
you still don't
Feel
have
that
weight in your
teeter-totter
heels.
moment, and it is part of
Go
helping
ahead
you
and walk
find
your hands
where your downward dog
closer
position
and
is.
feel that moment.
My feet are quite close together
Where the
and
weight
pointing straight
shifts
forward,
from
same
the
as my
hands
knees.
to the feet.
And I'm going to
You can
walk
have
my
super
hands
bent legs,
slowly
yeah?
out.
But feel
To
that
feel the moment where the weight of my
moment.
pelvis starts
Part
to
of helping
shift
you
into my
find
hands. Where your
Drop your
downward dog
head
position
down.
is. My feet are quite
And
close
let's
together
squish our
and pointing
shoulder
straight
blades
forward,
up
same
to our
as my knees.
ears.
And I'm
And
going to
then
walk my hands slowly
exhale
out
and roll them down
to feel the moment
towards
where the
your
weight
hips,
of my
which is actually
pelvis starts to
up
shift
in this
into my
position.
hands.
Yes, so shoulder
Drop
blades by
your
your
head
earlobes.
down.
Inhale. And let's
Exhale,
exhale,
send
send
them
them down towards
up
your
to our
hips. Ears. And then inhale, exhale, and roll them down towards your hips, which is actually up in this position. Yes, so shoulder blades by your earlobes. Inhale back. Good. Exhale.
Walk your
send
hands a
them
little
down
bit
towards your
further
hips.
forward.
Inhale up.
Drop your chest towards those knees. Drop your chest towards your knees.
Exhale back. Good.
Walk your hands a little bit further forward. And
Feel like your
drop your
armpits
chest
are opening. If you don't
towards
feel like
those
your armpits are opening yet,
try a little bit further out with those hands. And drop your chest towards the knees. Walking your hands towards your feet.
feel like your armpits
If
are
you
opening.
feel that
Don't
you're
feel
on a
like
yoga mat and your hands are sliding,
little bit
that's
further
often
out.
true with a new yoga mat. You can wipe it down with
drop
just
your
plain old water. Deep breath in.
Walking your
Exhale,
hands
come
towards
to your mountain pose, which
If you
is just
feel that
standing
you're
with
on
your
a
feet
yoga
together
mat
and your hands in namaste, and let your eyes close for a second. Yoga mat, you can wipe it down with just plain old water. Let your breath even out. Exhale. exhale, come to your mountain pose, which is just standing with your feet together and your hands in
Big breath in,
namaste,
let's
and let your
circle.
eyes close for a second.
Exhale, kneel as your hands come back.
Let your breath even out.
And inhale, rise. Gathering up those hip bones like we talked about earlier. From there, drop the elbows
breath in,
back.
let's
Take your
circle.
hands to your pelvis. Not
Exhale,
your waist,
kneel
but your
as
butt
your hands
cheeks. Tuck them underneath yourself.
And inhale,
And
rise.
lean back with your weight of your upper
Gathering
body
up
going
those
into
hip
the
bones
butt
like
cheeks.
we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so we feel
From
long
there, drop
and
the
extended
elbows
through
back.
the
Take your hands
lower
to
back.
your pelvis.
It's quite easy
Not
in
your
habit to
waist,
do
but
here,
your
butt cheeks.
the lower back
Tuck
bend,
them
but I want you
underneath
instead to
yourself.
hinge it forward.
And lean back with your
breath in.
weight of your upper body going into
Here
the
we
butt
go
cheeks.
into our sun salutations.
Yeah, so we
Exhale,
feel
soften the knees
long
if you
and
like on the way
extended
down.
through the lower back. It's
Inhaling
quite easy in
halfway
habit
up.
to do here.
Take a moment to just feel this halfway position. Most of us want to stick out our butt and release our abs. So lift it
Go
in.
into our sun salutations. Exhale, soften the knees.
like
Exhale,
on the
bending
way
those
down.
knees. Lower down.
Inhaling halfway up.
Your right
Take a
knee
moment
is
to
going to
just
step
feel
back.
this halfway position. Most of us want to stick out our butt and release our abs.
Before you rise
So
up,
lift
let's
it
check our
in.
foundation, yes? The left knee is directly above the
Exhale,
toe,
bending those knees.
and your toe,
Lower
your pointer
down.
finger toe and kneecap are pointing forward.
Your right
Your back
knee is going to
leg,
step back.
because we're in high lunge here, it's not warrior one. Your back
you
leg
rise
is
up,
straight
let's
back
check
behind
our
where it
foundation,
started,
yes?
with the knee pointing
left
down,
knee is directly
and your
above
hips
the
are
toe,
closed, and your toe, your pointer finger toe and kneecap are
As
pointing
you
forward.
rise up,
Your back
pushing
leg,
into the
because we're
floor.
in high lunge takes a little bit of practice. Your back hip
leg
may
is
want to
straight back
open, and
behind
your
where
belly
it
weight
started,
may want to
with
release.
the knee
Instead,
pointing
I want
down,
you and your
Bring
hips your right hip square to
As
the
you rise up, push
and then lift your core in. Takes a little bit of
For
practice.
me,
That hip
you
may
do
wanna
not
open
need to
and
keep
your
a
belly
straight
weight
back
may
leg
wanna
because
release.
I think it's more important and more valuable to work on keeping a strong and healthy lower back. So it's okay if that back knee is bent. Yeah? Maybe 10 years from now you'll be totally straight and
You
low.
do not need to keep a straight
Don't worry
back.
about it now.
I
Instead, worry about strong core to work on. In fact,
Don't
keeping
worry,
a
let's
strong
say
and healthy
focus.
lower back.
Big breath
So
in.
it's okay if that back knee is bent.
We're going to
Yeah?
soften
Maybe 10
down,
years
put our
from
hands
now, you'll
back
be
down,
totally
and
straight.
straight on.
Don't worry
Bust
about
up
it.
A, put your
Instead,
knee
worry
down.
about strong.
Take as many steps as you need to work that other knee
Don't
back.
worry. Let's say focus.
Yes.
Big breath
Coming
in.
to your modified plank.
We're gonna
Bust off
soften
a
down, put our hands
modified
back down
plank.
and move straight
Your
on.
hands are underneath your
Stop A,
shoulders.
Put your knee down.
Your abdomen
many
is
steps as you need to work
lifted
that
up,
other
so
knee
we're getting a nice straight lower back.
Coming to your modified plank.
Shoulder blades
Bust
are
off.
gathered
a
behind
modified
you,
plank.
behind the
Hands
bottom
are
of your rib.
underneath your shoulders.
Exhale, lower down.
Abdomen
Elbows
is
stay next to your
lifted
rib
up,
cage.
so we're getting a nice
Inhale. Lift that heart off the shoulder blades.
Gathered
Lengthening
behind
behind
you,
you, out of the lower back.
behind the bottom of your rib.
Exhale, back down.
Exhale,
Elbows
lower
are still
down.
in, not like
Elbows
chicken
stay
wings,
next
but
to your
in
rib
nice and neat.
Pressing
Inhale.
up back through
Lift
modified
that
plank.
heart off the to your
floor.
downward dog.
Lengthening and pulling up out of the lower back.
Exhale, back down. Big breath in. Elbows are still in, not like chicken wings, but in nice and neat.
Pressing up back through modified plank.
To your downward dog.
And now we're going to lift our left leg, but we're going to leave our pelvis and our arms and everything else right where it is. So it's okay if it's
Just barely off the floor.
for this leg lift, do not open the hips, please. Leave them where they are. Don't worry, there's crazy versions in the future. We're going to leave our pelvis
If you want them, but right now I want you to think about that square
okay if
alignment
it's
of your
just
barely off the floor. Exhale.
For this leg lift, the knee to your chest.
Just hold it there, that's all.
Don't worry, there's crazy versions in the
Bust
future.
up A.
Leave your
If you
body
want them, but
still
right
in
now I
your
want
downward
you to
dog
think
with your
about
knee
that
tucked in.
square alignment of your torso.
Arms might be getting tired already if
Exhale.
bust stop A feels like a thing. Knee to your chest.
B, you can shift
there,
forward
that's
and
all.
tuck up.
And
Bust
then
up
step
A
it through. Leave your body still in your downward dog with your knee tucked in. Your arms
Find
might be
your
getting tired
foundation
already if
for your
bust stop
high
A
lunge.
feels like a thing.
B, you can
up.
shift forward and tuck
Soften that back knee for me, and instead find a
then step it
really
through.
elongated, squared lower back and pelvis. Find your foundation for your high lunge.
Let your arms float up. Lift up. Soften that back knee for me. Instead, find a really elongated, squared lower back. Reach forward. Take your hands back down to the earth for bus stop A and press forward and back through that back heel. It's your springboard to help you take as many steps as you need to get back to the reach forward. Inhale, take your hands back down to the earth for bus stop A. Exhale, soften. Press forward and back through that
Dropping
back
the
heel.
hips and then rolling back up.
It's your springboard to help you take as many steps as you need to get back to the front. All right, we'll rise up. Inhale, exhale, open heart. Exhale, inhale, rising up. Dropping
Exhale, flowing forward.
Inhale, back, soften down. Your left legs can step back. It's the foot that was just back. You're not crazy. Exhale, open heart. Inhale,
You're crazy
rising
about
up.
yoga. Exhale, flowing forward.
Inhale. Find your foundation. It really helps to squeeze together and make sure your alignment has both knees and both hip bones and both shoulders back, all facing front.
You're crazy about yoga.
Wrap that back hip to the front. Find your foundation. Drop the knee a little bit. That's what it takes today. Together and make sure your alignment has both. Let's lift those arms up. Shoulders all facing front. Strong core as you reach back down. Wrap that back hip to the front. And your choice, however you want to get back to that modified plank. If you're feeling ready, you can go full plank. Let's lift those arms up. We're down. Inhale. Strong core. Exhale, back down. And your choice, however you want to get back to that modified plank. If you're feeling
Back to your
ready,
downward
go
dog.
full plank. And we're down.
Go ahead and walk your dog now. So when we walk our dog, our hands stay in the same place.
Inhale,
You're
rise.
bending and straightening one leg at a time and letting your hips
Back to your downward
tip and
dog.
tilt in a way that feels juicy and loosening for you. Go ahead and walk your dog now. So when we walk our dog, our
Big
hands
deep
stay in the
breath.
same place. In through the
You're
nose,
bending and straightening one leg at a time and letting your hips
out through the
tip
mouth, and
tilt
now
in a way that feels
your left
juicy
leg
and
breath.
loosening for you.
This is the other side. If we got confused on which side of the leg it is, just make sure that you're doing the other side now so that it feels even. Out through the mouth, and now your left leg breath. And tuck it into your belly. Bust up. Hey, you're still pressing those.
Just make sure that you're doing the other side
If you
now.
want a little more challenge, you can curl up above the hands.
And we'll talk all about how to make your wrists more comfortable. If you're new to yoga, you're probably very tired in the arms already. And that's all right. That'll improve.
If you want a little more challenge, you can curl up.
Inhale,
above
rising
the
up after you step through. And we'll talk all about how to make your
Find
wrists more
square.
comfortable. If you're new to yoga, you're probably very tired in the arms
Reach it
already.
through.
And that's all right.
Touch the
That'll
floor if
improve.
you
like. Step together.
Forward
Inhale,
fold.
rising up.
And inhale upward. Exhale, soften.
Find square. Inhale, rising up. Good job. We did tongue salutation on both sides with high lunge. Touch the floor if you like. Step together. Tongue
Forward
center.
fold.
And inhale. Let's roll those shoulders
Exhale,
back
soften.
with our breath. If you want to add your knees as well, you can. We did
Inhaling up.
tongue salutation on both
Exhale.
sides with high lunge. Unfold your shoulders to the back. Inhale. Let's gather up the arms. Exhale to the back. Just the shoulders this time with our breath. If you want to add your knees as well, you can. Soften those knees. Exhale. And place your hands on your hip bones. Inhale. Let's step a little wide. And just shift from side to side. In fact, do it without thinking about it first. Maybe close your eyes and feel what path your pelvis tends to take. Do you, as you go from left to right, do you feel that maybe one hip drops and the other rises? From side to side. Or that the pelvis goes forward or back? Maybe close your eyes and feel shifts that we want to gain awareness over so that we can choose them or not choose them left to right. So let's shift over onto your right leg or the pelvis and draw your left leg to the ankle. We're just going to balance here with our hands giving us some feedback about where your pelvis is.
yeah?
So let's
you can
shift
leave bust up
over
A,
onto
you
your
can
right leg.
leave your toe on the floor.
And
Notice,
draw your left leg to the
is that leg that you're
Just
lifting?
gonna balance here.
Is that hip
With our
higher
hands, giving
than
us
the other
some
one? Can you
feedback
get it
about
square?
your pelvis. Has your booty
Yeah, so
gone
you can
out?
leave
And
bust
can
up
you
A,
instead
you can leave
engage
your
the
toe on the
abdomen and
floor.
shift your tailbone
Notice.
underneath your heart?
Is that leg that you're lifting? I'm gonna feel like
that
you're
hip
lifting
higher
than the other one.
Bust
Can you
up
get it
B, your
square?
toes at your ankle. Has
Bust
your
up
booty
C,
gone out?
your toe
And can
is
you
at your
instead
calf.
engage
Bust
the
up
abdomen
D,
and
your
shift
foot
your
leaves
tailbone
and our knees
underneath
straight
your heart.
forward. Hips parallel
I'm
to
gonna
the
feel
floor.
like we're lifting up.
Bust up
Go ahead
B,
and
your
set that
toes
foot
at your
back down and
ankle.
shift to the other
Bust up
side.
C, your toe is at your
Forward, back, find a
Bust
vertical
up
pelvis.
D, your foot leaves
Choose
and
your
our knees
own
straight
bus stop
forward.
for where your foot's gonna go.
Hips parallel to the
Everybody's hips are flat with the floor.
Set that foot back down and
Everybody's
shift to the other
abdomens are
side.
softly lifted in. Forward, back, find a vertical pelvis. Choose your own bus stop for where your foot's gonna go. And send it down and shift back to the
Everybody's
original
hips
side.
are flat with
This
the
time,
floor.
same idea.
Everybody's
Pick a bus
abdomens
stop
are
for your
softly
leg.
lifted in.
Find even hips. Now I want you to think about shifting your tailbone forward
Send it down and
2
shift back to the
inches.
original side.
so that 70% of the
time,
weight
same
falls
idea.
into the
Pick a bus
ball of
stop
your
for
foot,
your
the front
leg.
part of your foot, instead of your heel.
Find
Just feel
even
that
hips.
difference. So you can go ahead and now
rock
I want you
forward
to
and
think
back.
about we're just shifting your
Experimenting
tailbone
with
forward
your balance.
2 inches. So you can absolutely
So that
have your toe on
70%
the
of the
ground
weight
still. If you're
falls
working in
into
bust
the
up
ball
A.
of your foot, the front part of your foot, instead of your heel.
And remember,
Just feel
there's
that
no
go ahead and
need
rock
to go
forward
to
and back.
someone else's bus
just
stop. If you're on your way home,
Experimenting with.
sometimes we get really excited, you know.
You can absolutely have your
Go
toe
ahead
on
and
the
switch
ground
to your
still
other
if you're
side.
working in bus stop.
Sometimes we get really excited in conversation with our friend and we miss our
Remember,
bus
there's
stop.
no need
and then,
to
you know,
go
we
to
get off
someone
at the next
else's
stop
bus
with
stop
them
if
'cause
you're
we're
on your
deep
way
in
home.
conversation. Sometimes
But
we
then
get really
you have to
excited,
walk all the way
you
back
know?
home.
Same is true with our bus stops
your
in
other
yoga.
side.
You want to
Sometimes
get
we
off at
get
your own
really
bus stop. You
excited
don't want to
in
get carried
conversation with
away
our
just
friend
because
and
it
we miss
seems
our
fun
bus
to go
stop.
further than what
And then,
works
you know,
for
we
you.
get off at the next stop
and then
with
I have
them
to walk
because we're
home.
deep in conversation. But then you have to walk all the way back home.
Go ahead and
Same
step
is
wide
true with
again.
our bus stops in yoga.
Let your
You
tailbone
wanna
go
get off
back
at your
now.
own bus stop. You don't
Still
want to get
lifting.
carried away just because it seems fun to go further
Sit down
than what works
back there.
for you.
Somewhere
And then
there's a
have to
stool
walk
waiting
home.
for you. Let your arms rise up and let your thighs and hips
Step
get
wide
nice and strong.
Let your tailbone go back
Looking
down.
down. Still lifting. Your knees and your pointer finger
down,
toes, so not your
back
big
there.
toes, but your second toes are
Somewhere
pointed
there's a stool waiting
straight
for you.
forward.
Let your arms
Your
rise
abdomen
up
is softly
And let your
lifting.
thighs and
Your
hips
shoulders,
get
let's
nice
reach them
and
up next to
strong.
the ears just to feel that feeling.
Looking
and then
down.
exhale,
Your
anchor them
knees
back.
and your pointer finger toes, so not your big toes,
Go
but your
ahead and
second
rise
toes are
up.
pointed straight forward.
We're
Your
going to do these
abdomen
same
is
2
softly
actions, but now
lifting.
we're going to do them with
Your
turned
shoulders,
out
let's reach them up next
legs.
to the ears
Yes?
just to feel
So
that
we're going
feeling,
to
and
turn
then
out from the hip socket,
exhale,
not
anchor
from the
them
knee.
back.
Let's go ahead and stand on our left
ahead and
leg
rise up.
and just experiment with that. Right knee, turn it out.
These same 2 actions,
Turn
but
it
now
in.
we're going to do them with
Nothing
turned
else
out
is
legs.
moving.
Yes,
Just the
so
thigh.
we're going to turn out from the hip
In.
socket, not from
Out.
the knee.
Go ahead and leave it there.
Go ahead
Put
and
your heel
stand
down.
on our left leg.
By the other
and
side.
Just experiment
Turn
with
it
that.
out.
Right knee,
Turn
turn
it
it out,
Turn
turn
it
it
out.
in. Nothing else.
Turn it
is
out.
moving.
Put it
Just the
down.
thigh.
Yeah. A nice like 90-degree
Out.
angle
Go ahead
there
and
is
leave it there.
lovely.
Put your heel down.
Between
By
the
the
inner
other side.
thighs.
Turn it out.
And let's just sink a little bit. Feel your tailbone dropping. And rise on.
Turn it out. Put it down.
A couple more times.
Yeah.
A nice
Exhale,
like
melts.
90-degree angle there is lovely. Between the inner thighs. Inhale, lift it
And let's
in.
just
sink a little bit.
Feel your tailbone dropping.
Exhale, drop
And
it
rise
down.
on.
Try not to stick your booty out behind you, yeah?
Exhale,
If
melts.
you've ever done ballet, you know this one. Yeah? Your muscles that
Inhale,
hold your
lift it in.
thighs open, they're underneath your tush
Exhale,
here,
drop it down.
right between where your
Try
butt
not to
meets
stick
your
your booty
thigh.
out behind
So
you,
do
yeah?
feel like you're working there to
you've ever done
rotate the
ballet,
thighs open.
You know this one.
Yeah? And this will
Your
become
muscles
handy
that
when we get
hold
to
your
warrior
thighs
one later
open
on.
Okay.
They're underneath your
Now
tush
step
here,
out wide.
right between where
Let's
your
do that
butt
same
meets
motion.
your thigh.
Tailbone
so
underneath
do
your
feel
heart.
like you're working there to rotate the thighs.
Knees are opening wide as we soften just a little bit. And this will become handy
Remember,
when we
we're
get focusing on alignment here today. So let's let it be small. Now step out wide. Let's do that same motion. Tailbone underneath your heart. It's very easy to just opening wide as we soften just a little bit. But that is not our goal. I want you to focusing on really feel your thighs let it be small, rolling back and open, and your core lifting up and in as you breathe. Very easy. Exhale. Skip it and push the earth down. But that is not our goal. I want you to, if your thighs are staying open the whole time with your breath here, you can take that a little wider for a bust up B. Lifting up and in as you breathe. One more time, and then we're gonna stay in the horseman's pose. Inhale, rising up. Think about squeezing your legs together. If your thighs are staying open the whole time, here you are. You can take that seated down. For a bust your knees are probably being drawn forward by gravity, so resist that with your rising up. Think about squeezing your legs together, opening the hips. Exhale, here tailbone is dropping underneath you. Regather that core. Your knees are rise up with the hands. Drawn forward by gravity, so resist that with. Feel all that strength in your thighs. Opening the pelvis, opening strong the knees, tailbone is dropping strong thighs. Regather that strong core. Breath. Let's rise up with the hands. Inhale, rising up. And bring it back all that strength in your thighs, opening the pelvis. We're going to stand on your left leg, and we're going to turn the right leg out. We're going to put those two ideas together. Now we're doing the tree pose, so the thighs open. Bust stop A, the toe is still on the floor. We have a nice square, strong horse on your left leg. Let's start with our hands in namaste. Put those two ideas together. Re-engaging that abdomen. Let your heart shift a little bit forward. Bust stop A, the toe bust stop B, your ankle square, strong is where your toe is resting. Bust stop C, your weight is on the calf. We never, ever, ever put the heel into the side of the knee because the knee doesn't need sideways pressure. So bust stop C to bust stop D is kind of a big jump. You have to get that heel to the thigh bone past your knee. We never, ever, ever put the heel. Remember, we can all be down here because the knee is about you. It's not about the person. So bust stop C to bust stop. Hope you are tomorrow. It's about you. Kind of a big jump. You have to get that heel to the thigh bone. You can also, if that's where you're going, bring it all the way up. Remember, if that's where you're at today. It's about you. It's not about the person. Inhale, imagining your spine lengthening and honoring. Exhale, also dropping that tailbone underneath all the way up if that's where you're at today. Let's add a little flow. Lifting those arms up. Inhale. Feel your branches of your tree swaying in the wind a little bit. Exhale and release. Dropping that tailbone underneath. Switch sides. Find your tree bust stop. Might be the same or different on this side. Lifting those arms. Squaring the hips. Feel your branches of your tree. A. Swaying in the wind a little bit. C. And release. D is on the other side of the knee. Find your tree all the way up in your crotch. Find your spot. And then think about those hips. Like mine are a little lifted today. I can feel that my bent leg knee is lifting that hip, and I want to square back by sending my standing leg hip out to the side a little bit and lifting my belly in. And then think about those hips. Like mine are a little lifted today. Your foot might be tired, but you want to think about it melting. I want to square like back. Pancake batter on a grill. Sending my standing leg hips out to the side a little bit. Find your branches. My belly in. Settle it down, release it. Your foot might be tired, but you want to think about it melting. Take it like pancake batter on a grill. Inhale, find your branches. All right, one more time each side. Standing left. Settle it down, really. Right leg up. Big breath in. All right, one more time each side. Let your arms return. Right leg up. And press down. Good side. Nice and easy. Square those hips first. Let your arms return. Find your bust stop. And press down. Switch sides. Nice and easy. Square those hips first. Find your bust stop. And release it. Coming back center. Big breath in. We're going to sit back with our tailbones. Taking your hands to namaste. Breath in. Lengthen through the lower back. Squeeze those legs together. We're going to sit back. Rise up with the arms. Check your knees and toes are straight forward. Taking your hands to namaste. Exhale, take your chest down over your legs. Squeeze those legs together. Stretching to forward fold. Rise up with the arms. Exhale, bending the legs again, placing the hands on your mat. Walk or hop, your choice. Bust up, A is a walk. Back to your plank. Stretching to forward. Remember, anytime we come to a plank, you can always do a modified plank until we build up more. Exhale, bending the legs again, placing the hands on your mat. For you. Walk or hop, your choice. Bust up, A is a walk. Press back into back to your plank. Remember, anytime we come to a plank, walk your hands in until you're kneeling. If kneeling really sucks for you, some of us have knees that don't like it, rise up a little bit, yeah? You can put a pillow or a folded towel under your knees if it still feels sensitive. Walk your hands in. You don't have a very thick until you're kneeling. You don't want a super thick mat for yoga because then it's hard to balance. That don't like it. It's all about finding a little balance between the two. Take your hands behind yourself, and I'm going to place my thumbs right on my sacrum, which is that bony part of my pelvis. Tuck my tailbone underneath. Bring my elbows and shoulders back. Thick mat for you because then it's hard to balance. It's all about finding a little balance. Please, and lengthen the back of your neck. And I'm going to place my thumbs right on my sacrum, which is that bony part of my pelvis. Try to look up with our chin. Tuck my tailbone underneath. Drop your chin in, look up with your third eye, with the front of your forehead, please, and lengthen the back of your neck. Squeeze those shoulders back, elbows. So often when we look up, inhale, rise up. Arms are going to swing over the top. Look up. Back to your child's pose. Eye with the front of your forehead. And tuck your feet. Squeeze those shoulders back. Downward dog. Inhale, rise up. Walking it swing over the top. Feet to your hands. Back to your child's pose. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, soften. And tuck your feet and rise up. Downward dog. Exhale. This can be a lot if you're not used to it. Feet to your hands. So give yourself compassion. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, more oxygen and more compassion. And rise up. Exhale. Exhale. Forward fold, soft knee. A lot if you're not used Inhale, to it. Flat back. So give yourself. We're gonna take our hands down to the mat. We're gonna walk it back for bus stop A. We're gonna hop it back, knees down for bus stop C or D. Inhale, and elbows go in to your chest. We're gonna take our hands down to the mat. We're gonna walk it back for bus stop A. We're gonna hop it back, knees down. Press back to downward dog or child's pose, your choice. Bust off A is downward dog, is child's pose. Little cobra. Press 2 more breaths to downward dog or child's pose, your choice. Bust off A is downward dog, is join us in downward dog if you're not there yet. And rock forward. Or if you want more challenge, you can soften those knees and hop forward. Flat back.
Exhale, soften. Inhale,
If you're not there yet. And rock forward.
exhale, hands down.
If you weren't working on being soft.
Lifting your left knee up. Left knee up.
Flat back.
Open it like the tree
Exhale,
pose that
soften.
we just did.
Inhale, rise.
And close it again. Exhale, hands
Send
down.
that toe down to the floor.
Lift your
left
arms
knee
up,
up.
and think about your body becoming one straight diagonal line. This is called, has two major names. It's either called balancing stick or warrior three. Yeah? So this is our bust off A for warrior three. My toes still on the ground. I'm trying to not, has two major names. Lose my lower back. Called balancing and keep my hips square. Or warrior. Bust off B is just squeeze your butt cheek a little bit. This is our bust off
Back
A
is still flat,
for
but your
warrior
leg comes off the floor.
My toes still on the ground. If you have a wall nearby, hi wall, let's be friends.
Lower back.
You can use the wall, it's
My
all
hips
right.
square.
We're still practicing
Bust off
square
B is
hips,
just squeeze your
long
butt cheek a little
lower
bit.
back.
Back is still flat, but your leg comes off the floor.
See, if you have a wall nearby,
D is
hi
all the way
wall, let's be friends. You can use the wall, it's all right. We're still practicing square hips, long lower back. Soften your standing leg to come back to high lunge.
Exhale, hands to the floor.
Step back, modified plank or plank, lowering down. Inhale up. Soften your standing leg to come back to high
Everybody
lunge.
to shots. Exhale, hands to the floor.
Step back, modified plank or plank, lowering down. Inhale up.
Everybody to shots.
Inhale, lift. Step that right leg forward. So you're making two right angles with your legs, please.
Get a little sassy with me for a moment. Yes? Wiggle those hips.
That right leg forward.
Yeah?
So you're
If
making
this
two
is
right
uncomfortable
angles
on
with
your knee, again, you can put a folded towel underneath this knee for a little more padding. If you don't have that nearby, you can fold your mat over. Get a little sass to just give yourself a little bit of cushion.
Wiggle those, whatever your body needs is fine here.
Yeah? If this is uncomfortable on your knee, again,
All right, so
folded towel.
this is your right leg forward.
padding. If you don't
Left
have that
knee down.
nearby, you can fold your mat over.
We just wiggled our hips a
Give
little bit
yourself
side to
a little
side.
And we're going to think about opening this back hip. Yeah? So one of the ways that we square
This is your right leg forward.
pelvis, left knee down,
For alignment purposes is by using the outside muscles
wiggled our hips
in your hip. So please take
we're going to think about
your hand to the
opening
outside of
back
this knee,
hip. Yeah?
press in
So
for resistance
one of the
and
ways
open
that
that
we
knee wide
square
into your hip.
this
Really give it some
pelvis.
push. For alignment purposes is by
Push,
using
push,
the outside muscles in your hip. So please take your hand to the outside of this knee
and now push
press
the other way.
in
Push
for resistance and open that knee wide into your hip.
Feel those inner thighs, your adductor muscles pulling in. Push, push, push. And release. Push, pushing out.
If this feels fine to you, or if you want to try something else,
And now push the other way.
I want you to scooch your back leg back.
Feel those
In fact,
inner
let's
thighs.
take a moment before we repeat. Let's find a deeper lunge. And notice your front knee is probably opening wide as you scooted back. I want you to scooch your back. Instead of being square when I come here,
The natural
Let's take a
inclination
moment
is for that
before we
front knee to open
Let's
wide.
find a deeper lunge. That's not necessarily wrong or right. It's just a thing
your
that we want to be aware of as a probably opening wide as you scooted back. So now we're in a low lunge.
So instead of being
Our knees
square
down.
when I come
We're
here,
gonna put our hand on the
natural
outside.
inclination is for that front knee to open
And we're
wide.
going to push out with that front
not
leg.
necessarily
Actively
wrong or
open
right.
the front
It's
leg
just a
into the
thing
resistance of the
we wanna
hand.
be aware of as a
So we're still staying forward
so
pointing
now
with
we're
that
in a
knee,
low
but we're
lunge.
trying to
Our
open
knees
it
down.
up.
We're gonna
Now
put
you
our
can
hand on
really
the
feel the
outside.
outside of that hip, which will be your
we're gonna push
gluteus
out with
medius
that
and minimus.
Actively open the front leg
Into the resistance of the hand. Now the opposite, squeezing.
Forward pointing
Squeeze.
with that knee.
But we're trying to open it up. Now you can really feel the outside of that hip. All right, release.
Medius and minimus.
Inhale, exhale, draw your hips back. Your
The
back
opposite.
foot can be
Squeeze it.
pointed or flexed. It's up to you.
Squeeze.
I prefer flexed. 'Cause then I get a nice
underfoot stretch. All right, release.
So I like to tuck that back toe, but it can be
Draw
pointed
your
if that's
hips
your
back.
preference.
Your back
Do a little
foot
bit
can be pointed or flexed.
Keeping this left leg a little
I prefer
soft.
flexed in the knee. Then I get a nice underfoot
Let's take our spines.
and pull up. Yeah?
So I'm obviously super flexible.
So here might be what it looks like in your bus stop.
Yeah, could be pretty far up, and that's fine as long as
Take
you're
our
feeling the
spines.
stretch in the back of that thigh. You're
Pull
doing
up.
it right.
Yeah?
So I'm obviously super flexible.
Exhale, shifting back
So
forward
here
onto that
might
leg.
be
What it looks
And
like
we're going
in
to put
your
both
bus
hands
stop.
inside, and now we're going to purposefully
Allow that
stretch
thigh
in the back of that
to
thigh. You're
open.
doing it
And my foot rocks onto the side of the foot here. So I'm still pointing my toes.
Exhale, shifting
and my
back
knees
forward
in the
onto
same
that leg.
direction. If your wrists are
put
getting
both
super
hands
tired,
inside,
you can
and now
shift
we're
to
gonna
fists.
purposefully
Allow
and be on your
that
knuckles.
thigh to open. And
Or
my
you can
foot
shift down
rocks
to your
onto the side of
elbows
the
if
foot.
flexibility
My
allows.
toes and my knees.
Or if you have a chair nearby,
If your
or a
wrists
wall,
are
you
getting
can
super
lean on the
tired,
wall.
you can shift.
Think
to
about
fists.
opening up this back
Be
thigh,
on your knuckles.
or you can shift down to your elbows if flexibility allows.
Or if you have a chair nearby,
Good. Bring it back
lean on the
center.
wall.
We're gonna
Straighten
open
back
up
up.
this
Back thigh. Lift your back leg. So now you're in high lunge.
push it together.
Squeeze those legs together and drop your butt.
Good. Bring it back center.
Slowly rise
gonna
back up.
Straighten
Notice
back
how
up.
this might feel different here in the hip flexors.
Lift your back legs.
Take the
now
time
you're
to
in high lunge.
elongate those hip flexors and come to a lifted center.
Together.
Rise your heels 1
Squeeze
inch
those
off the
legs
floor.
together and drop your butt.
Put straight
Slowly
arms
rise
if you
back.
can. I'm in my
Notice how
basement,
this
so
might
like
feel different here in the
my
hip
ceiling is
flexors.
very low.
time to
So I'm gonna have bent arms, but you can straighten them if you like. Rise, your
Exhale,
heels 1
settle
inch off
back
the floor. Put straight arms if you can. I'm in my basement, so like
flat back again.
my ceiling is very low.
Arms forward.
So I'm gonna have bent arms,
Exhale,
but you
drop
can
the
straighten them
pelvis.
if you like. Find that low, awkward chair
Exhale,
pose. It
settle
really is
back
called
down.
awkward chair, which seems appropriate, right? Feel your thighs. Make sure knees and toes are
Flat
straight
back
forward. Arms forward.
Exhale, drop the pelvis. Drop
Find
your
that
head.
low, awkward chair pose. It really is called awkward chair, which seems
And we're
appropriate,
now
right?
going to do the other
Feel your
side.
thighs.
So,
Make sure knees and toes are straight forward.
stepping back. Drop your head. Oh, that's right. We have to do our. And we're now going to do
Fabulous.
the other side. So, warrior 3. So, we're going to come back up before we get all the way back in. Go ahead and step back to your modified plank or full plank. That's a choice.
Oh, that's right. We have to do
Every
our
time we do it, exhale low.
fabulous.
Shoulders back. Warrior 3. So, we're going to come back up before we get all the way back in. Go ahead and step back to your modified
Your
plank.
legs together as you push up to
Or
modified
full
plank. Tuck your toes, come to downward dog. And we'll do puppy
before we do the other side, yeah?
So,
Shoulders
downward dog. Your body is trying to make one V shape, yes? Not
Bring your legs together as you push up
silly
to
square
modified
shape.
plank.
Tuck your toes, come to downward dog.
Puppy, though,
We'll do
is
puppy.
when everything's a little bit
Before we
bouncy
do
and bent. So bend your elbows, pointing them towards
dog.
the earth.
And bend your knees,
pointing them towards the earth. You should feel like a great big springy, bouncy thing, just like a puppy.
silly square shape.
That
spring
is what
is
gives
what gives you the
energy and bend. So bend your
Kinetic
elbows,
energy to hop your feet towards your hands.
And bend your knees.
Soften everything down on the
feel like a great big
completion of your
springy,
exhale.
is when you pounce those little legs forward.
Spring.
I just go
what
one
gives
inch
you
the
the
first time
energy.
try. That's fine.
The
They'll
kinetic
eventually
energy
get
to hop
closer.
your feet towards your hands.
Up to
Soften
flat
everything
back.
down on
Exhale, hips back.
completion of your exhale.
Rise up is when you pounce those little legs forward. You might just go one.
And we're gonna take our other leg back
They'll eventually get closer. Up to flat
to
back.
balancing stick.
Exhale, hips back. Rise up.
This is probably your right leg. And we're gonna take our other leg
Find
back.
your
balancing stick / warrior 3 to balancing stick. probably your right leg. Think about your abdomen again.
Your balancing stick.
Find the floor.
Warrior 3.
And come on down to your lunge. I'm going to point myself to the front. Think about your abdomen again. Find the floor. So you don't have to switch sides. I'm just doing it so that on your mirror as I face front. Down your lunge. Let your back knee go down. And lift it up. I'm going to point myself to the back knee goes down. And lift it up. So you don't have back knee goes down. So that on your rise up. Notice how the forward leg is almost always higher, jacked up on that side. So take a moment to work that up. Back knee goes down. And for me, it feels like the hips move in sort of this arc. Notice how the forward leg is almost always. But when I'm trying to get real true square, which is important for high lunge, it's important for low lunge, it's important for that Warrior 3 we just did. What I want is to square those hips. So part of that is dropping the forward leg, and the other half of that is lifting your core in, opening the front of this hip, which is often very tight. Low lunge, it's important for that. Warrior 3 we just did. Using those feelings, allow yourself to square those hips softly. Part of that is dropping the forward leg, and the other half of that is dropping that, lifting your core in, opening the front of this hip, which is often very tight. Finding your breath. Using those feelings, allow yourself to shift softly. And then forward and scoot your back leg back a little further, dropping that hip. See if you can get a little bit more distance. Finding your breath. And then scoot your back leg back a little further. See if you can get a little bit more distance. Coming back up. Find a place that you can hold that square. And we're going to put our hand on the outside of the front leg and squish it out. And you're trying again to fire up the side of that hip in this action. Yeah, you can hold onto a wall if you like while you do this. But press out and restrain that outward press. We're going to put our hand on the outside of the front leg. You can use both hands too if you like. And you're trying again, feeling your side of your hip fire up in this action. Yeah, you can hold onto a wall if you like while you do this. But press out and restrain that outward press with the hand. You can use both hands too. And then think about a little bit as you press out, think about this hip going forward. So you really feel it here. And then switch, squeeze in. So I'm taking my hands together on the inside and squeezing in. And then think about a little bit bringing my back hip forward, hip going forward, squeezing that thigh. You really feel it here. Release, come lower, and then switch, squeeze your back leg back a little bit. So I'm taking my hands together, find a deeper lunge, and squeezing in. Bringing my back hip forward. Find some fluidness, squeezing that thigh. Before we do another round. Feeling your breath. Scoot your back leg back a little bit. Find a deeper lunge. All right. One hand on the outside. We're going to open that thigh. Before we do another round. Open up. Feeling your breath. All right. One hand on the outside. We're going to open that thigh. Open up. Squeezing in. So I have this hand even on the ground, and I'm pressing against it. Inner thigh firing. Thigh firing. Good. Release. And take your weight back so that you're stretching the hamstrings of that forward leg. You might need to draw it back to your center line because sometimes they drift. So your foot is straight ahead of its own shoulder. Release. And we're stretching through the hammy here. Bent knee's fine. So that your stretching the hands pointed or tucked. You might need to draw it back to your center line because sometimes they drift. So your as you inhale, ripple that spine a little longer out over your toe. As you exhale, melt it
it over that thigh. Let it go, let it go. As you inhale, ripple that spine a little longer out over your toe. As you exhale, melting over that thigh. Let it go, let it go. Good. Inhale up, shifting forward into your version of the deeper lunge. So I'm scooting my back leg back and I'm letting my front leg open, and this is just super tight for me today. So what do? I keep it a little bit smaller. Shifting forward into your version of the
Part of what we're doing here in yoga
so I'm
is
scooting
to
my back leg back and I'm letting my
negotiate
open
gently with our body.
Today.
We want to be able to work
I keep
at
it a little
our
bit
edge in a way that's compassionate, that allows us to press ourselves forward without going so far that we injure ourselves, because that takes longer in the long run to get better. We want to be able to work at our edge in a way that's compassionate, that allows us
Go ahead and take those hips back, draw your leg back, and come to your child's pose and rest.
that takes longer in the long run to get better.
Roll it up. Go ahead and take those hips
Walking
back.
your hands up
Draw
your
your
thighs.
leg back and come to your child's pose and rest.
Tuck your hips underneath, lifting up to the sky. Notice most of us want to stick our booty out and stretch here, but I want you to think about
Roll
your
it up.
hips staying up over your
Walking
knees.
your hands up your thighs.
And rising above that. Long back in the neck, little chin tuck. Lifting up to the sky. Notice most of us want to stick our booty out and stretch here.
Inhale, arms up and over.
Hold hands with yourself.
Rising above.
Elbows squeezed in so they're in front of your shoulders. Take your elbows to the mat and press up into a downward dog with your lower body.
Bring those legs all the way together. Squeeze it.
Arms up and over.
You're in the dolphin.
Hold hands with yourself. Elbows squeezed in so they're in front of your shoulders. Take your elbows to the mat and press up into a downward dog with your lower body.
Big deep
Bring
breath.
those legs all the way together. Squeeze
It's okay if your knees are on the floor. That's fine.
Dolphin.
Press into the full
forearm from elbow to pinky.
Exhale, knees down. Take your pelvis back. Push with your hands so your hips come down. That's fine. Press into the push with your hands.
Forearm from elbow to pinky.
Exhale, knees down.
Shift
Take your
forward.
pelvis back. Push with your hands so your hips
And
come
find.
down. Push with your
Back to
hands.
your tailbone. Seated upright.
In and out with the thighs again. Go ahead and take two hands here and squeeze in. Keep that tension for a moment. Keep that tension.
Back to your tailbone. Seated upright.
In and out with the thighs again. Go ahead and take two hands here and squeeze in. Keep that tension for a moment. Keep that tension. And now switch your hands to the outside and open wide. Excuse me there. Having some allergies today. Big breath. And now switch your hands to the outside. And these inside and outside squeezes can really help us to realign our hips. So I am fiercely squeezing in. Big breath. And then I'm fiercely pressing out. Again to the inside. And these inside and outside squeezes, feeling of the power really help us to realign
In mind as we lay back for our bridge.
Fiercely squeezing in.
Go ahead and rock through that pelvis.
Fiercely pressing.
And before you move on, notice that your legs
Feeling of the power
often wobble as we lay back for our
as we do
bridge.
this, yeah?
Go ahead and rock through that.
So I want you to think about knees pointing straight up, thighs being parallel, and your knees are in line with your hip bones, not the outside of your pelvis,
Often
but those hip
wobble.
sockets.
As we do this, yeah.
Rocking through the pelvis, taking your arms down by your sides,
Knees
pressing from
pointing
your
straight up,
shoulders, through your
thighs
elbows,
being
through your wrists,
parallel,
through your fingertips.
and your
So
knees
the
are in
whole
line with your
arm is
hip bones, not the
actively
outside of your
pressing
pelvis.
back
into
those
the
hip
floor.
sockets.
And then we're gonna peel our tailbone up off the
Rocking through the
floor like we're
pelvis.
peeling a banana.
Taking your arms
floor
down
is
by
the
your
banana
sides,
and
pressing
your
from
back
your
is the
shoulders
banana
through your
peel. So
elbows,
you're
through your
peeling
wrists,
it
through
away
your
from the
fingertips. So
floor.
the whole arm is
Come on up
actively
to that
pressing
bridge.
back
Take
into
a little
the
look.
floor.
Did your
And then
knees
we're
fall
gonna
open? That's
peel
what
our
most of us
tailbone
do.
up off the floor
Use
like
those
we're
inner
peeling a
thighs
banana. The floor is the
to
banana
bring them
and
back
your
straight.
back is the banana peel.
Exhale,
So you're
roll
peeling
down, top to bottom. Come on up to that bridge. Take a little look. Did your knees fall open? That's
Release
what
the
most
pelvis.
of us do.
Use those inner
And
thighs.
start up over again, all the way up
Bring them back
and all the way down. Exhale, roll down, top to
Rolling
bottom.
up into your bridge. And rolling
Release the
down
pelvis.
into your bridge.
And start up over again, all the way up and all the way down.
Rolling up into your bridge. And rolling back down.
And rolling down. Bring your heels a little closer to your buns. And try it again. Curve, roll up. Long back of the neck and rolling. Squeeze the butt at the top, but don't let your knees fall open. Bring your heels a little closer to your buns. And try it again. Curve, roll up. Long back
up.
of the neck.
If you happen to have a
Don't
brick,
let your knees fall open.
which I don't expect you to have, but if you happen to have one sitting around,
Or a towel. You can place it in between your legs
Back
and
up.
come up squeezing that brick or
happen to
towel
have a brick,
or sweatshirt,
which I don't expect you to have, but if you happen to
working
have
on that
one
inner
sitting around,
strength. Or a towel.
roll
Place it in between your legs and come
Everybody
up
bring your knees
squeezing
to your
that
chest.
brick or towel or
This is
sweatshirt,
a supine child's pose.
working on that inner
And we're gonna rock it up.
strength.
Roll on down. Everybody bring your knees to your chest. Let your feet slide forward.
Supine child's
Place
pose.
your arms back like they were on the floor.
We're gonna rock it up.
Shoulders back.
Walk your hands up your back to your rib cage.
Notice how most of us, when we do that, the elbows come out wide like chicken wings. See if you can point your elbows back towards each other, squeezing the upper arms together. And imagine what that might feel like if your elbows were on the mat. Yeah? Notice how most of us, when we do
them
that, the
close
elbows
together.
come out wide like chicken wings. See if you can point your elbows
down
back
to your bridge.
towards each other, squeezing the upper arms together. Your choice.
And imagine
Come
what
back
that
to the
might
very
feel
same
like
bridge.
if you're
Pressing into the mat with your arms. Yeah.
Squeezing those legs together.
Work them close
Or
together.
you can try putting your hands on your buns and giving yourself a little lift. Down to your bridge. You can scoot your feet and legs in. You can scoot your elbows
very same
underneath
bridge.
yourself and
Pressing
place
into
your
the mat with
elbows
your
under your
arms.
hips. Obviously, this is no longer bus stop A, so choose wisely. We have more workouts to do. Squeeze those thighs together. Scoot your feet and legs in. You can scoot your elbows underneath yourself and place your elbows under your hips. Obviously, this is no longer bus stop A, so choose wisely. We have more workouts to do. Re-engage your abdominal wall. Find that breath, friends. Let me keep my hands under my pelvis to be personal. And release. Rolling back down. Re-engage your abdominal wall.
And bring your knees back to your
Find that
chest.
breath, friends.
Squeeze the thighs down into your chest. Let your thighs compress your belly.
Release. Rolling back down.
Holding on to your right leg. Bring
Let your
left
left
knees
leg
back
slide
to your
away.
chest. It might stay super
Squeeze
bent,
the
and that's
thighs down
fine.
into your
You'll feel an
chest.
opening in the hip flexor
Let
on the
your
left
thighs
leg. Compress your belly.
This pose is also known as wind
Holding on
relieving
to your
pose.
right leg.
You
Let
may
your
know
left
why.
leg slide away. It might stay super bent, and that's fine.
Relax your shoulders.
You'll feel an opening in the hip flexor
See if you
on the
can
left
soften
leg.
your chest as you stretch.
And your knee,
This
your
pose is
long knee
also
may
known
be
as
very bent, and that is
wind
fine as long as the
relieving
hip is
pose.
open.
You may
know why. Keep both hips on the floor.
Relax
Bring the
your
knee
shoulders.
in.
See if you can
Feel
soften
your square
chest
pelvis
as you
again.
stretch.
before you release the right leg.
Your long knee.
And remember, we want both hips square on the floor. So the weight of your right leg is going to try and move this right hip, but you're going to instead prioritize keeping the hips square.
Feel your square pelvis.
Find a hip stretch, hip opener, without losing that balance.
We want both hips
square on the floor. So
very challenging.
The weight of your right leg is going to try and move this right hip. Sometimes you're going to instead prioritize keeping the hips square. Find a hip stretch, hip opener, without losing that balance in the pelvis. Very challenging. Hug both to your chest. Let it rock side to side. Gently place both feet on the mat. We're going to move into our Savasana. If your lower back feels tired when you're laying flat on your back, then we want Savasana for you to step your feet wider than your hips a little bit so that your knees fall gently. Place both feet on. This is a great way to relax your back and torso. If your lower back, so my hips are when you're laying flat on your back.
In between my feet. Turn sideways.
Your feet wide. So this is your bust off a Shavasana. My heels are a little wider than my pelvis. My knees and the weight of my thighs are falling towards each other so that my lower back can really rest into the mat. Palms are open out towards the sky. Your bust off so that your arms are rotating open, and that rotation open of the arms, of my thighs are falling towards each other. So a lot of us love putting your hands up above your head. I am one of those. Palms are open out towards but I encourage you to practice so that your arms are rotating open and that shoulder blades in like wings. Opens your chest. And let your chest open. A lot of us love putting your hands up above your head. I am one of those people. But I encourage you to take a couple more breaths here. Tuck your shoulder blades in like wings. Let your chest open here, which is great if this is how you feel in your normal posture. A couple more breaths here, slowing down your breath. Slowing down your breath. Allowing yourself to melt. If you would like to stretch your legs out long, feel free. And allowing yourself to melt. If you would like to stretch your legs out long, returning your breath again. Feel free. In through the nose. Gently rolling back to the room. It's excellent practice to always come to your side before getting up. Rolling back to the room. For those of you who need to scurry right on time, it's excellent practice to always come to your side before getting up. Thank you for joining me. For those of you who have questions, I'll be here.